So if you find yourself needing to tow with your Gladiator, but maybe you bought it used or you bought it just like I did, brand new, but it just happened to not have the towing package, and so there is no receiver hitch on the back of this pickup for us to be able to tow stuff, which is a big issue. Now, luckily, there are quite a few companies out here that make receiver hitches. I ended up picking up one off Amazon from a company called XPE, and we're gonna go ahead and install that today. I'm gonna run you guys right through it, so stay tuned. Swinging around to the back of this Jeep, if you fellas take a look, you can see we got 0 trailer hitches back here. So the cool part is, even though I didn't order or this truck didn't come with the tow package, it does still have the wiring and stuff already all hooked up. So literally all we got to do to get this to work is just bolt on the receiver hitch, and it's relatively straightforward. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of what comes in the box from XPE, you're gonna have a nice little bag here with all of your hardware that you're gonna need, and then it's just simply the hitch. You can see it's all nicely packaged, and this whole deal's been, powder coated, right? So it should last and look good for quite a long time. It also comes with some pretty sweet directions. They're in really good English, and they give you, all the tools required. Everything kind of gives you a whole blowout diagram so you can kind of understand what you're going to be doing. So this is kind of the rear subframe of the Gladiator, and you can see where we're going to take the new hitch, and it's literally just going to slide up. There's going to be 1 bolt that holds it from up top, and then 2 that go into the bottom. They go facing straight up. Now, to get those in, we are going to have to fish our bolts along with these little metal pieces. They give us some wire to do this, but we're actually going to fish those through the frame, have them come out, and then we'll be able to slide this up and put on the nuts. So I'll show you guys that in a second. Now, as far as the tools go to install this, it's just pretty simple hand tools. You're going to have most of this stuff. So you're going to need a 1/4 inch hex. Yes, again, 1/4 inch. It's not metric, and that's going to be for this top bolt that goes in here. And then we're going to have a 19mm socket, which you're going to need for the 2 side bolts. You could also use a 3/4 inch socket. They're interchangeable. And then a 1/4 inch drill bit to be able to drill that hole, and then be able to use our 2-inch hole saw. You're also going to need some freaking torque on these bad boys. So this big top bolt, it's calling for 320 pound-feet of torque. So you're going to need a torque wrench capable to go up that high. And then the side bolts have torque rating of 110 pound-feet. So again, make sure you have a torque wrench that's adequate to do all that, or just get her, as tight as you possibly can, right? I like to call it good and tight. So with this install, there's basically 2 different directions you can go. You can just simply go ahead and drill that circular hole into the plastic bumper. And there's kind of already like a dimpled area where it's kind of made to be cut out, so you can drop that bolt down. If you do this, you do not have to remove the rear bumper at all. You can leave the bumper in place, drill your hole, put a cover on it, all that stuff. Now, this kit doesn't come with that little plastic cover. I'm sure you could just go to the hardware store, buy a 2-inch plastic cover, but in this case, since this kit does come, the top bolt that comes in here is flat on top. So some of these kits don't come with that flat head on the bolt. Some of them have like a traditional 6-point hex. And with those, you do have to drill that hole because the bolt will stick above the top of the bumper. Now, in this case, they're using kind of OEM type of hardware. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull the bumper off. It's only 6 bolts to get the bumper off. Then we can slide the whole bumper off real quick. And there's a couple electrical connectors, of course, but then we can get everything installed and then slide the bumper back on and not have to have a hole in our bumper, because I just don't see the point in cutting a hole in there. We're never going to pull this trailer hitch off, and if we did in the future, we could just simply take off that bumper. Again, it's just 6 bolts. It's pretty easy. So I think I'm going to go that route versus drilling the hole. So once you get the license plate off, then you've just got 2 hidden bolts for the bumper. These are 16mm to get these bad boys off. Again, if you guys are not going to take the bumper off, if you want to just go ahead and cut this hole out, you can do that. Cut this out with a 2-inch hole saw, and then you can get that bolt in. You do not have to take the bumper off. Again, this is just my personal preference. You can do it either way with this particular kit. Now, sliding underneath our Jeep here, you can see all we got is just 2 bolts on this side. We've also got 2 bolts on that far side. As far as electrical connection. So you get in under here on the driver's side, and all we got is our trailer tow wiring. So there's just a little clip, just pop that off, that came right off. Then there's one little clip that actually attaches it like to the frame, so you just gotta pop that off. And then this little clip here for like your license plate lights, this just connects right up in here. If I can get it to focus. So again, pull that little red tab back, pop that guy out, and that's it. So now we just got to take off all 6 bolts, and bada bing, bada boom, this thing should come right off. Now with the bumper removed, we've got, complete access to where this hitch receiver is going to go. Now again, this is a class 3 receiver hitch. So this bad boy can have you towing 5,000 pounds. So it's going to be good for a lot of your smaller stuff. For me, I have a 7x12 landscape trailer that I just load up with quads and kids' bikes and toys and crap like that. So it doesn't weigh very much. Or if you want to be able to just add a bike rack to the back of your Jeep, this is going to work great for that as well. So you can see this bad boy is basically going to slide up in here, and we're just going to have this bolt here is going to come through. And so this is what I was telling you guys earlier. This is kind of an OEM style bolt. This is how they are at the factory, where it's flush on top here. Some of the kits that you buy, you got to watch out because they have kind of the thicker standard hex kind of head on them, and so that won't fit under that bumper cover or under the bottom of the bumper where this will. So we'll be able to slide our bumper right back on over this without having to cut that hole. So that was my whole kind of point. So again, it's just going to go kind of something like that. You can see we've got holes back here. Now these are the ones that are a little bit challenging because we've got to have bolts drop through here and then be able to put nuts on. And so to do that, you've got to put it in from the sides. We've got to get the bolt dropped down or fish through with some fishing wire that they're going to give us. And so on the end of here, it's actually got this little kind of almost like a spring. And this is where we're going to be able to thread the bolts and be able to pull those bad boys all the way through. So if you look here where the hitch is going, you can see this little wire sticking out. So what I did was I started here at this hole, and you just got one hole there, one hole there. And so I just fished it right through. And then what we got waiting for us on this side of the frame is going to be that little kind of, I don't know, call it a spring or whatever. But now we're just going to take our bolt and we're going to thread that in there. And that's going to allow us to pull down and get this bolt to kind of come all the way through. And we've got to wiggle it so that it comes down. And then this is going to hold it in place and keep it from spinning when we put our nut on at the end. So this is kind of like the hardest, most critical part, right? Because if something happens and that spring comes off and this bolt's lost inside of your frame, you're pretty much screwed. So don't screw this up. All right, so luckily that side went through very easily. I just had to take the wire and just kind of pull on it a bit, and it's held on to that bolt really, really hard. I mean, it was hard to even, you have to like literally unravel it to even get it off the bolt. So don't be too scared to just kind of keep jiggling on it until it falls right through. But I mean, it took just 10, 15 seconds, got it right through. So we'll do the other side and then we're ready to actually bolt our hitch back on. All right, now that we got all of our bolts in place, ready to rock, we can start to assemble. So on these smaller bolts, you're gonna have a washer and then a 19 millimeter nut. So we'll just go ahead and slide this thing up. It actually might be easier to first put the top bolt, kind of get it threaded, just to kind of hold this whole assembly in place for us. There we go. And then now we can just start to put on this stuff. And then the critical thing is going to be, making sure this whole setup is torqued, right? Because again, 320 pound-feet on this top black bolt, and I think 110 on each of the side bolts. So quite a bit of torque. One other thing I wanted to mention, I think earlier I might have told you guys you needed a 1/4 inch hex bit. I lied on that. It's actually a 1/2 inch hex bit for this bad boy. So it's a pretty big one, so make sure your tool set has it. My standard set only went up to 3/8, so I had to dig around, but I did find it. So, and then just make sure, again, 320 pound-feet. So make sure you finish this bad boy off with a torque wrench. All right, now that we got our hitch all installed, we can go ahead and start to slide back on this factory bumper setup. Now the very last piece of the puzzle is we're going to put on our hitch. Now this is an aluminum hitch that I got off Amazon as well. And you can find these things, you know, they're anywhere from like 120 bucks. This one, for some reason, was like $60. And I got this one for my Jeep. My wife has like a silver version, but they were like maybe even less than that, 40 to 60 bucks. I'll put the link down below in the description, along with the link for the XPE product and a link to the XPE website too, if you guys want to check all this stuff out. I think these are we're right around $100 as well. So a cheap alternative, especially when you consider, I think Jeep charges like, I don't know, the tow package is like an $800 option or something. I'm sure it comes with more than just the receiver hitch, but for my uses, this is all I need. So very quick, easy install. Probably took 30 minutes with some simple hand tools. There we go, another mod knocked off the modification list. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Make sure to check the links below in the description for links to the products. All that stuff really helps out the channel. Feel free to shoot me a comment below if there's any questions or anything I didn't cover. I always try to answer every single question you guys put out there. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you fellas on the next one.